go for that here, and we already see Pebbles and Engineer picked up for them off the bat. Scout the first pick, though, for TMSR with the Empath, Keeper, Warbeast rally bands. Wow.
Yeah, it's I think Moonbander's trying to almost intimidate SG by how fast he was banning and just kind of snap picking these heroes. He's taking his time now, but man, these first couple bans and picks, it's like he was just sitting there spamming the crap out of the hero. He was very confident. Now taking some more time, so shying away from that a little. But like you said, Pebbles Engineer, pretty standard. It's pretty surprising not to see Engineer picked up in the first couple picks if he is not banned early on, because I mean, I agree with most teams that he is probably the best support hero in the game and can make heroes even like Magnus very powerful in that middle lane. So instant not instant, but Monkey King picked up by tmsR hero. They're very fond of running, especially in that mid lane, probably going to be played by Slicks, and then in Lodestone, the counter, well, not counter, but the pick from SG here. And the drafting phase is moving along pretty quick now, Breaky.
We'll torture the final pick on top of that. So yeah, they do go the Monkey King strat, so we'll see how SG ultimately is going to have to deal with that this game. But the banning phase still standing out to me. Swindelmelon's choosing to ban Empath and Warbeast as their two bans over there. So, you know, Swindelmelon's obviously a great captain, does plenty of research. I guess it could safely assume that maybe TMSR has been running those two heroes, especially even that Warbeast lately. And I'm sure doing very well with it, so banning those two here. But do you have any insight on that? I mean,
yeah, I think those are kind of situational bans. I mean, Fitsky plays Empath quite a bit. It's maybe not like, you know, the support player from VDT. Well, his name is Support, but Support. Anyway, of course, playing Empath. I don't think it's quite at that level, but it is a hero they are very fond of running. Of course, TMSR, if you watch them recently, are also very fond of running dual support, and of course Empath could fit into your lineup nicely at the dual support lineup, and maybe just something he does not want them to have. And of course Warbeast is all too familiar to Swindle, as it is one of Kezu's kind of suicide heroes. He definitely suits with his play style. I think he's more of like a farmer. Not that he can't play these Genki suicides very well, he has in the past, but you know, he likes to play those heroes like Warbeast, Keeper, Wild Soul, maybe more passive, kind of suited towards farming style long lane heroes. But yeah, that's what I'm probably kind of taking away from the early bans in terms of those SG early bans.
Yeah. How about the next tier of bans? How about, surprising and interesting both two sides, really. The fact that not only did they get to that point, but all just banned off one or the other. Ophelia, Wild Soul, Tempest, Parasite, and then finished off with Pestilence, Master of Arms. But even as we saw in the series against IG, I mean, they still love that jungler, clearly. Not picking it up here, and we end up seeing Ophelia, Wild Soul, Tempest, and Parasite banned in the next stage. So neither team is going to be running a jungler this game. And, well, speaking of old school, Stay Green kind of going to the roots there. Demented Shaman is their fourth pick. So this game is actually developing very nicely here, I think it's safe to say.
It certainly is. I mean, I was kind of surprised to see all these junglers banned by Swindle. Of course, TMSR is not known for preferring jungle heroes, and SG, if we can take anything away from the last series, still is. Pestilence is, if you watched TMSR recently, they love Pestilence. Moonmeander playing that Pestilence is very proficient at it, and he did receive quite a few buffs. And then MOA of Arms is certainly a hero we see quite frequently on any lineup, but especially SG. So, yeah, I'm a little surprised Swindle got rid of all those junglers, because it seemed like he was going to be running the junglers, but here we go. We got some interesting picks.
Well, okay. Could it be a Balfagor jungle? I think it could be.
Well, if Minuts plays it,
yeah,
I think it's going to be.
I think it's going to be. I mean, you got your Engineer Pebbles lane, you got DS Solo bottom. We've heard about this. We actually haven't had the chance to see it actually in a competitive match, at least here on Honcast, but there's a lot of talk about this going into the Han Tour finals even for Season 1. I know some scrimmages were popping up where this was being used and kind of thought about and eventually planned to, you know, be used in the competitive scene. But again, we just didn't get to see it. I love it, though. I love how here's game one of these finals, and look at that. Balfagor very likely going to be jungling. Forsaken Archer, the final pick on top of that. And, you know, great pickup for several reasons. The biggest one, great for creep clearing and counter pushing even. So, and when you're dealing with a DS Balfagor, that can tend to be pretty powerful. Oh, are they swapping up? Oh, damn it. We may not see it in the end.
Yeah, I think what they're going to do is have Chessie farming bottom lane, and then he's going to spawn his minions and farm the jungle with them with the
Okay.
assist of minus. He's going to use the heal to quickly clear the creep camp. So I've seen him do this before. I don't know if it was Balfagor. I think it was Warbeast. So this might be a little bit of a strategy stolen from Dota, which I think in the past they have utilized quite a bit. But that's kind of what I'm expecting to see. Balfagor, and then of course DS jungling with his minions. DS actually picking up some dust here, so of course anticipating that scout long lane. tmsR though kind of has the option to go for an aggressive tri lane, but does not look like it judging by where Moon's going. But yeah, touching on this Forsaken Archer, I always liked FA. I like how she's useful throughout the entire game. I feel like her laning phase is extremely strong. Crippling volley plus the auto attacks. Of course, the skeletons, if you choose to level them, are quite powerful. I feel like she can push very well with those skeletons. She can team fight very well with her ultimate and her crippling volley. So I feel like throughout the game, she can offer quite a bit, especially early and mid game compared to most carries. But she is perhaps not the most fearsome hard carry at the end of the game without having any steroid ability like a crit or some kind of damage amplifier. And her lack of mobility, of course, also is called into question. But I feel like she has some fantastic strengths of her own, especially early and mid game.
Well, when you think about Forsaken Archer and competitive on history, definitely a name that comes to mind is Slicks over here. Now, obviously, this game, that isn't the case. He is playing the Monkey King. Moonme are playing the Forsaken Archer, but as we've seen recently, and it seems like this is going to be the case at least going into Season 2 of On Tour, Moonme is going to be that carry player for Too Much Sugar, where Slick's taking back the role of more of that ganker presence, something he played a lot of earlier on, the Pebbles and whatnot. And again, playing the Monkey King here. So just another thing to kind of keep in mind there. And it is going to be Forsaken Archer the top lane. It looks like could be almost a tri-lane setup initially. I mean, the 4 is even still up here. You're trying to prevent some ward of sights or anything, but you do see Lodestone coming up here with that one ward of sight. He did place one for that middle lane, but Lodestone's walking into a trap. He doesn't realize that Zealstone comes out. The Impalement's activated, so no chain reaction is going to be happening for Torturer. There's the rocket drill, though, and Limp will be more than fine in the end. Forsaken Archer, not really able to get in the best positioning. In the end, just wanted to farm, so no kill on Lodestone, but he will be forced to fall all the way back, actually, it looks like. He's going to go all the way back to the well here. Early regen, unfortunately.
Yeah, that kind of sucks for Limp. I don't know how much he would have gotten in the first place, so this is going to be pretty rough for him to get experience with 3 heroes up here. Looks like they're both retreating, both going to stack. Of course, the pole camp is not ordered, as they did prevent Lodestone from getting it, so we'll have access to that. Definitely fantastic when you have 2 supports, and these aren't really 2 supports that are the greatest at roaming, so having access to this pole stack is certainly quite a boon for them. And but taking a look at the rest of the lanes, it looks like DS perhaps isn't going to that jungle yet with the minions. I don't know if that's was necessarily in their plan, but Scout down here getting some pretty nice levels, just kind of hanging out in Invis. There's the counter ward placed by Minuts, but Scout has kind of just retreated into the jungle here right now. So I think the laning phase for tmsR going quite well. You can see Monkey King is kind of suffering middle lane. Zephyr doing a really good job of boxing him out, but Scout is getting XP bottom. Moonmaker, of course, getting free farm, and these supports are eventually going to start getting some XP and farm from this pull.
Well, you also saw the power of Scout right there in this purpose, at least. They put down the Rev Ward, as you mentioned, to try to maybe set up a gank. He actually saw them place that, and he goes back over with his Electric Eye and eventually counterwards it and actually gets, the credit, the gold for it. So that's where the dust is definitely going to come into play. You mentioned off the bat that Dimension Shaman did purchase the dust right off the bat, so he does still have that, of course, and maybe that's where they can look to set up that successful gank. But a triple stack camp here. Minot's playing the Dimension Shaman. He's going to go ahead and do the pull now and get some experience that way. So yeah, they're not doing the spawning the creep. I mean, he has yet to spawn the creeps actually. From what I've been watching, he's still just adding up the charges here and just simply farming in the lane. So clearly they have a plan. Something tells me it's going to be a case that with that rev they put down, it's almost as if they want to spawn the creeps right as they're trying to kill Scout to try to maybe surround him, get a big healing wave off, and go for a kill that way. But even that could be obviously pretty difficult. You see a Scout right here harassing Demented Shaman, trying to pick in some kills, and actually even gets one of them right there. So some fun mind games going on here at the bottom lane. It's going to be really interesting to see how this progresses, though.
Yeah, Kesu is definitely playing this lane quite well. He's level 3. Sitting about 150 GPM, and this is not a lane bottom that has a whole lot of kill potential. Like you said, if they can get those minions and kind of slow him with the heal, they can do quite quite a bit, but I mean, as it is now, when they're pretty low level, he doesn't have a whole lot to fear as compared to this top lane. Lodestone going to be taking a little bit of pressure, but yeah, they both know that this is not going to result in a kill. They will force him out though, and he still is level 1, so compared to Scout, he's really not finding much up here.
You know, there's two things that are kind of I'm getting more intrigued about here. The fact that, again, Balfour is still yet to even spawn the minions. Another thing you're noticing, the lane position, the lane control is fabulous here by State Green at this bottom lane. Now, with the Balfour Demented Shaman, especially going up against the Suicide Scout, you can argue they could be sitting here spamming this whole time, going, and here we go. There's a Regurgitate. The minions come out, the healing wave. Not the most damage, though. Scout kind of juked a little bit right there, and he was able to run through and make his way up. But that's what they were going for. As I was kind of thinking about that, they were trying to catch him out of position, get the spawn of the creep surrounding him, and then go for a big healing wave. Not enough damage, but so now you're going to see, though, they are going to start pushing it in. But yeah, up until this point, they've been playing fairly passive in terms of lane positioning. But here we go. This tower going to start taking a lot of damage now, and it's probably going to be a tower kill pretty quickly here.
Yeah, I think this could have been their plan all along. Minus just pulling those creeps and stacking up to where it gets a huge wave, especially with the catapult. I changed the lodestone for just a second, but yeah, he's just still up top. Seems like he's gone to base more than he's done anything this game. But yeah, huge wave bottom, and this is a great time for the Legion team, of course, to push. And on top of having Balfagor, this towers are going to go down real quick. The Hellborn themselves are trying to do some pushing, and Fora is probably going to be okay here. Yeah, he's fine. But yeah, it looks like they're taking full advantage of this huge creep wave, and if the Hellborn team doesn't do much, there's not a whole lot of Scout can do to stop this train.
Yeah, he's just kind of like going back and forth like, guys, are we going to do something about this? Because I can throw my electric guy down and maybe try to scare them a little bit, but not much else. Now, they do push that top lane, as you're mentioning. So will they actually TP in here is the big question. None of them have homecoming stones yet. You see Forsaken Archer running back, but if it's just him porting in, that's probably not going to be the best either. So this is going to be a tower kill. 2 towers down. We just passed 5 minutes into this game. Look at those GPMs, man. This is a very interesting game, obviously, so far. The GPM chart kind of explains it. Pebbles is also having a dominating time here in the middle lane. But Forsaken Archer, she's kind of the saving hope here for the Hellborn side. But that also goes back to this laning phase, too. You know, you mentioned the middle lane. Why do you think they chose not to have a support there for Monkey King and make it a 2 versus 2?
It's a great question because, as you can see, Pebbles has almost 500 gold per minute. So
yeah,
perhaps they just weren't confident that they could beat this lane with their heroes. I mean, I talk about weak support heroes. Nymphora definitely a greedier style support hero. Doesn't really offer that much in the lane. Monkey King kind of posturing like he wants to get this top rune, but is there going to be a fight here, Breaky?
It was close. They were coming over, but not in time.
Very close, but yeah, Pebbles is definitely not their target of choice with that health, but perhaps they're just not confident they would win this lane and Pebbles would freeform anyway. You know, Torture is not that bad in the lane, and they really just... It's unfortunate because when tmsR plays this strategy, usually they have 2 people roaming for their middle lane, and unfortunately these heroes are just not capable of that roam.
Yeah, I am definitely a little baffled by that, honestly. Yeah, I get the idea. If you're not confident that you're going to win that matchup, then maybe. But is this really paying off in the end? You really got one big farmer compared to the 2 here on the Legion side. I mean, yes, you are the harder carry in the end, and the Forsaken Archer, you could argue, but the earlier game impact is going to be a lot more in favor of the Legion team at this rate. Now they are trying to push, I should say, the top lane, the secondary tower themselves. They're going to apply some pressure to it, so Nymphora and Torture, of course, assisting with that. Torture leveling out that impalement. No, he actually goes level 2 chain reactions and sitting on the level 1 impalement currently. Lowstone kind of just chilling, hanging out, not really doing too much other than just trying to leech some experience the best that he can. And overall, State Green as well, not really too concerned about that. But you already have 1,000 more gold saved up on Pebbles here. He has Steam Boots and Bottle. Very likely Portal Kid going to be coming up next. And then Balfagor, he goes to early Blood Chalice, a great item on him. He has another 1,000 gold saved up. You got to think the early, Helm of the Black Legion perhaps, Play the Greaves even. Going to be coming out here and start to see some mass push coming out. Even though there's already been a little bit of it at the bottom lane, of course. So, and then Demented Shaman, he's coming along nicely. He's level 5. 185
he's got some great levels in farm. Of course, they have taken 2 towers, but, that's that's what happens when you get all this gold and farm. So, Initiation perhaps in the middle lane. They want to set up a kill on this Pebbles. Will they have enough, though? He is quite tanky. He's got sitting around 900 health currently. He does have a bottle charge. I think he's just going to use the bottle right here after tossing. No, he's still playing a little greedy right now. But there he goes, and I don't know if they can get him. Okay, if they follow him up here, this is pretty obvious. Is Swindle really going to go for this?
He picks up the DD in front of him. Yeah, are they going to go? Pebbles realized quickly as soon as it disappeared, he's like, okay, yeah, something's up. We see Scout going in right here. Obviously with the vanish, though, and it's by himself currently. They find Engineer. With Pebbles nearby, that'd be pretty risky. And yeah, Scout's not going to go for it in the end. So stay green, good awareness, honestly. They saw the rune disappear, so good information that probably Scout picking it up. And
I think Kezu could just like let him come and they would have killed him.
Yeah.
I think that would have been. I mean, they didn't want to give up that rune, of course, but I think they definitely would have had him if they had baited the rune a little harder. Now, there was a lot of information given to Pebbles how Monkey King and Torture were just kind of beelining towards that rune anyway. But he looked pretty confident, and Scout, the double damage has run out, so I don't know if he's going to be able to get this kill on mine. It's just Kezu, not really a whole lot for him to do besides just trying to be a nuisance at this point.
yeah, Scout is going to live up to his name, though. He's scouting out right here, giving vision to a team, and here we go. Monkey King jumps in and forwards here as well. Easy kill coming out. Kezu actually getting credit for the kill. And that's the Bloodlust kill. Holy crap, 9+ minutes into this game. I mean, obviously a very slow start when it comes to hero kills, even with the 2 early tower kills. But Bloodlust kill for Scout finally coming out. Again, just over 9 minutes in. So good movement coming out right there from the Legion's, or Hellborn side even. As Balfgor back to the bottom lane. He's going to go for the TP, goes top lane, but Moon Meander gets the tower kill before they're able to get there in time. And Moon's farm, man, 460 gold per minute here. He looks like he's going straight for a Shrunken Head, too. So he's not even going farming.
I could see that. I mean, the Legion team with that Balfgor perhaps might be a little all-in on the early game. So early Shrunken Head could certainly pay dividends. I mean, he is farmed enough to where perhaps a farming item wouldn't be too greedy, but yeah, it makes sense. He's actually almost got the Shrunken Head. Holy crap, he's farmed. But you know, Pebbles himself, I believe, just has enough for his portal key. He's only level 7, so this early of a portal key has some ramifications. And yeah, I think SG spent a lot of time not pushing.
Yeah.
And now they have decided that after these kills, I mean, the towers are pretty much even at this point, and when you're up against Balfgor and the towers are even, you got to be pretty happy.
Yeah, it kind of seems like that, exactly, especially the middle lane. They could have really adjusted to the middle lane and did a mass push after they pushed the bottom lane pretty early on. I mean, but it seems like they valued more the idea of Pebbles just sitting back, farming, getting that portal key, and then Balfgor obviously doing his own thing at the bottom lane too now. So they got some good farm out of that, but it no doubt has bought some good time for Moomiander. Again, as you mentioned, almost has a Shrunken Head already, just needs a pattern. But there's the easy middle tower kill coming out right there in favor of the Legion team. But yeah, if you're within, you know, a decent spread here as far as the gold goes, if you're the Hellborn side, I mean, still leaving now 2,700 gold lead for the Legion team. I don't think you're still that worried yet if you're TMSR at this point. Maybe the secondary tower, though, if they're able to successfully push this, then it could start getting a little worried. And they definitely have the ability to set up for a team fight, but it could be a little risky at the same time. Still no Shrunken Head finish. There's a Ghost Marchers delivered. They're just trying to pick and choose, though. I don't know if they're going to get it, though, in the end.
Yeah, I like this by SG. They really need to make something happen. I think they were just waiting for the portal key, and of course they do have it. So tmsR is really posturing. They wanted to defend these towers, but I mean, I don't know if they really have the resources or the farm at this point, and I feel like they've wasted a lot of time simply sitting behind their tower and just kind of watching it fall. So perhaps they could have better spent their time elsewhere farming or doing some counter pushing of their own. I know this team, their playstyle is they want to take fights. They don't want to be passive. Here we go. Here's the fight.
Oh no, Forsaken actually going up there, puts her ultimate off, and she gets completely caught out. Moomiander going on the uphill, trying to farm the creeps right there, thinking that they'd fallen back. And little did he know, Stay Green, basically everyone was there. They cleaned up what was at least a double, maybe even a triple stack. Didn't even notice there off the bat, but that is not good. I mean, he was the only thing that's going good early on. I mean, Scott is definitely recovering, but the fact that your Forsaken Archer just got picked up for there, and yeah, you put it, you're so right. I mean, the fact that they went to kind of defend, but they didn't even do anything in the end about it. The resources right there that could have been gotten by TMSR could have been a lot better, you know, if they're just split pushing or counter pushing even, perhaps just farming at the top lane while it was happening. But you know,
yeah, I mean, they don't really have a whole lot in the way of counter pushing. I mean, you can kind of use Monkey King to vault the tower and vault back. FA's got decent. I mean, Torture's on level 4. He doesn't have Agonizing Bonds. Then 4 is Stun, not really. I mean, level 4 as well. So this Balcor pick by Swindle, And this is kind of, sometimes I talked about captain's pick, like the last pick just really throwing people off, and I think this could be a pretty good example of it, where you're not really prepared to have a team deal with this hard of a push, just simply because you're lacking counter push, and they throw a curveball at the end of the draft, and suddenly you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, and so they final pick Forsaken themselves, which again, she has some decent potential, but maybe not even the best compared to some other options. So yeah, you're exactly right on that. And you know what, the Dimension Shaman just picked before that too. It's especially with State Green. I mean, yes, you always got to be worried maybe that final Balfcore pick, maybe a Zephyr or something like that. But it's knowing State Green especially, they're very famous, especially in the past, for running that solo Dimension Shaman. So it would have been out of the question. Speaking of TS, I think he overextended a little bit right there. And actually, here we go. Big fight could be taking place right here. Balfcore, the piercing arrows come out. And that'll just easily get State Green to fall back. The marksman shot not even going to be attempted. Not sure what my nuts is thinking right there on Demented Shaman.
Yeah, he got a little too confident. They wanted to push as fast as possible, but unfortunately he, with just boots, not the tankiest hero, and goes down to the tower. What a noob. This is why SGEU got third, but
big guns.
I'm just not really being serious. But yeah, I feel like tmsR, it is kind of their playstyle to want to take fights. They're not scared, but I mean, they just can't. This kind of game, they maybe need to just take a page out of Complexity's book and just know that they cannot fight. They need to go do something else more useful in the time being, because their heroes just are not
ready
farmed
yet.
enough, or are just not, drafted even properly to be able to deal with this mass push. The heals, the really early Pebbles portal key also is very scary. And it's just too much for them to handle right now. So they did take down the mid tower while that push was happening, but I feel like SG got a lot more out of that. Of course, the top tower, the defense tower, is extremely low, and it's looking great for SG right now. Let's see what tmsR can do to, hold off this onslaught.
Well, I mean, I think a best way to look at it is he just about has it now with the shrunken head, but he still doesn't even have it. And we were talking about that, how he got the Mighty Blade Warhammer around 9.5 minutes even into this game. Here we are at over 15 minutes now. He still hasn't gotten the 1,300 gold for the pattern. Now, he is pushing the top lane. He needs to be careful, though. Pebbles is up here, and if Pebbles gets even one more TP, even by himself, he could possibly pick up a kill. You see Forsaken Archer, though, going to port back to base before she puts herself in that dangerous spot. So again, she is very, very close to the shrunken head, and at this rate, it looks like she is now finally going to have it, at least going into the next fight. So that's definitely the good news for tmsR. But again, my point being, it's obviously took him 5-6 minutes to just get the 1,300 gold for the pattern when she was farming so early on. That just goes back to the decision making of it's trying to get your resources where you can, especially if you're not going to ultimately defend in the end. But Monkey King does actually buy a Mighty Blade, and I believe the power supply on top of that. So we're seeing tmsR, they are really valuing the shrunken head, it looks like. You got Scout and
they just want to survive this push. I mean, I think if they can ward off the early enough push, they've got the late game to really obviously contest this Legion team, because this Legion team is almost all early mid game. So if they can get those shrunken heads up and defend the base successfully, obviously their chances of winning go up dramatically. So definitely makes sense, these pickups. Of course, Pebbles is continuing his progression very well. Already got the bulwark. He's still sitting around almost 500. Jesse on Balfcore also sitting around 500 as well. But despite that, I think tmsR is doing a much better job right now of split pushing. We saw Moon all the way pushed up in the top lane. Then, of course, KZU and Slicks were in the bottom lane. And Slicks himself is in the bottom lane right now pushing. As long as he can see Pebbles on the map, he's reasonably safe. Of course, Lodestone, actually, I just noticed, has a portal key himself, so might need to be a little worried about him as well. But with the given information, he knows he's pretty safe to push this. So, this is really what they need to be doing right now. They have to defend their base, but other than that, they really cannot take a fight.
I just love how Casey here on Scout, he basically just ran through the whole Legion team just to kind of get some information there. Obviously, they didn't have any sight of him, so he was easily able to do it. What happened back here? Wow, Pebbles actually gets all the way up here and ends up getting a free kill on a Fitsuke, who's still level 5, playing that main support Torture, of course. So, good pick off from Swinamelons using that Soulsborg portal key. And already another 1,200 gold saved up. How about this Balfagor, man? He has a Barrier Idol helm, plated greaves. I mean, Jesse is farmed. We're not even 18 minutes into the game here. On top of level 11, so he has a level 2 Helen Neworth, of course. Something else. It's garbage day in this case. So Monkey King, he's in the front lines. Doesn't have his shrunken head just yet. Has 2,100 gold saved up, though, so An opportunity to buy back if need be. Down goes the tower, though, into the melee racks. And just watch us start going down here. Balfagor has his minions. There's a barrier auto used. Now, Forsaken Archer still has those piercing arrows. He can find an opportunity to use it here if he needs to. That is going to be enough to push them back. So stay green, figurine. Okay, we're not going to break through just yet. They fall back, and we'll continue to farm at least a little bit more here.
Yeah, I think they can content themselves with how much damage they did. Of course, they finish off the tower. Melee barracks is about half health, and then kind of a common strategy employed by teams is once that barrier idol is down, back up, farm the jungle, wait for it to come back up, and then simply return and continue to push. So wouldn't be surprised to see them do that. Swindle Melons is kind of roaming around. He got the bottom rune. He might be in a little bit of trouble here. No, he's got a haste rune and a crippling volley miss anyway. I don't think they would have killed him regardless.
True.
So yeah, he's got the haste rune. Coming back top, barrier idol should be almost cooling down. In fact, Chesty doesn't care. He wants to go straight in. He knows Moon is not yet here. And here we go.
There we go. Heavily Vol used defensively right there. Pebbles jumps in, gets the stun on Torture, but that was a very ballsy move right there. He's way deep, but actually sees Swindle Melons. He turns around immediately and runs out with that haste rune. So he will have Stalagmites up in 10 seconds, but not just yet. Forsaken after putting an auto attacks. Balfagor is so damn tanky. Monkey King, who they want to go for though? Balfagor is going to get the melee racks killed. So that is one part of the mission down. And here we go. Stay Green is going to fall back now, especially after that. So they got what they came for in the melee racks. And once it kind of rinse and repeat, they clear out the jungle. It seems like we've seen them do this 3 or 4 times now. Clear up the jungle, then fall back. So obviously Stay Green definitely confident with their strategy here. Still definitely plenty of comeback opportunity for tmsR. But getting that melee racks killed is going to now hinder them at the top lane at least. Constantly have to pay attention to that here. So Shark and Heads, though, are coming along, however.
Yeah, it'd be nice if Monkey King could finish his. I still don't know how the hell they're going to kill this Balfagor, though.
Yeah.
Especially with the Demented Shaman support. I mean, DS is only level 7, but his heals combined with Balfagor's 500 GPM of pure defensive items is a daunting raid boss, you could almost say. So yeah, it looks like they want to just continue to push this middle lane. Chesty just can posture up here by himself. He knows no one can kill him, even when his team isn't that close. So Shrunken Head is going to be finished here by Monkey King, so there's a positive. Forsaken Archer looks like he's working on Energizer. They're just trying to get whatever they can to try and ward off this push. They're not going to finish any big items, so Moon just trying to get over whatever he possibly can to help defend these push. And yep, here comes the push.
Here it comes. Monkey King gets back, as you mentioned. The Shrunken Head purchased on him, so him and Forsaken Archer good to go. He's got 1,500 gold saved up, so doesn't have his just yet, but working towards it. You already see the tower at about half life right here. Barrier Idol is still ready to go. Abyssal Skull also just delivered to Balfagor, so just continuing the tankiness route. And if he wasn't hard enough to kill already, I can imagine now, especially with even the more armor coming out. You have a Forsaken Archer, hell, a Forsaken Scout and Monkey King, a lot of physical damage. Well, Forsaken early on magic, sure, but as the game tapers on, of course, it's going to be all about the physical presence here on the Hellborn side. And Balfagor not really caring too much about that. You also have a Stormcloud, of course, from the Dimension Shaman. He actually doesn't have that leveled up yet, by the way. He is level 8, but choosing to pass that up. But middle tower dropping quickly. Balfagor in those front lines has the minions on it, and he just can't kill them quick enough, man. With the barrier auto buff especially, it's so difficult. And they do get the tower kill, so we're probably going to see once again clear out some jungle here. Do a little bit of time, and then come back once the barrier idol's up in 30 seconds. This is brutal. We only have a 2-to-1 hero kill game, but it's just well played by Stay Green.
Yeah, there's been actually quite a bit going on. There's actually stuff to talk about despite the lack of kills. I mean, there's a melee racks down. We've got lots of stuff going on. Just nobody's really dying, unfortunately. But it just looks pretty grim for tmsR right now. Just a fantastic draft by Swindle Melons. I think he really picked up on tmsR's playstyle and just took account of their heroes and kind of watched, or not watched, but just figured that this Balfagor strategy would be definitely fantastic with the heroes that tmsR had chosen. So, yeah, I guess I can talk more about the draft after, but it looks like Kongor is still perhaps in the sights of the Legion team. But, I don't even think they need it. If they wanted to go, they definitely could. So, yeah. But, of course, they can probably take it pretty freely if they choose. Maybe just doing some counter warding there. You see the ward going down. So it looks like they're a little indecisive here.
Yeah, not sure what to do. Dust coming out now. Pebbles is not here, however. So this is actually a favor for the Hellborn team if they can get the jump at least, but they're completely on the run. Monkey King used that elusive dash to be elusive and ultimately get away, and in the end it does scare them off. So even without Pebbles being there, just not confident that they were going to be able to do enough, and instead they fall back before any deaths happen. So the map control continuing to be absolutely dominated here by Stay Green. They clear up the Hellborn Ancients. You have a Demonic Breastplate probably going to be finished here by Pebbles in the near future. Another 1,600 gold on Balfagor. Got Ring of Sorcery Astrolabe on Demented Shaman, so he's kind of stepped up as getting those utility items up for the team. Hellborn side, it's all about shrunken heads and not much else. They continue to just really sit on that. Forsaken Archer does have enough to finish the Energizer now, but not even doing so just yet. They also have an Amphora here on this Hellborn team, so that's something to really keep in mind too as this game does progress on. If they can ultimately really hold them off and it starts to taper off into the later game stage, that Amphora could most certainly play a big role in terms of counter pushing and whatnot. But are we going to see a push again here? It looks like very likely. Pebbles porting in. He just finished the Demonic Breastplate. Yep, here we go. Round 2 in the middle lane. Racks are exposed.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough for the Hellborn, just without the lack of counter push, and then, of course, all these items. Balfagor is pretty much just god at this point. So hard to kill. See these minions just kind of freely beating the crap out of the racks, and if they're not killed, they're gonna take this racks pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So. There's the toss even from Swindle coming in extra damage, and this racks.
Yeah, it's what do you do? It's like. Well, we can't really kill Balfagor, but at the same time, if we don't kill him, then Rax is going to die. So it's such a catch-22 here. They are going to jump into this script. We got to try something. Hell on new one's coming out, though. Pebbles in the background now. Shrunken is off from Forsaken Archer as well as Monkey King, but Monkey King is going to fall in the end. He is not buying back. The melee Rax still goes down. Lodestone may end up falling in the end. Energy Field going to be used, though. And never mind, everyone stays alive for the Legion team, including Lodestone, who barely stayed alive. So they just can't touch him, man. I mean, the support, the Demented Shaman heals, how tanky they are. Yeah, you can't blame them. They're going to vote to concede here, and that looks like it is going to do it for game number 1. Wow. 5-1 hero kills. It's all about the tower pushing, though.
Yeah, 2-1, 2-0 Rex kills might be actually the better score to highlight for this game, but yeah, just touching on the draft, I think Swindle Melons just threw him a curveball at the end there. This could have been a strategy that he was interested in using against this team. Just watching them, they're really not interested in pushing in team fights. They're just interested in ganking almost everyone, setting up kills around the map, and I just feel like tmsR, this is a pretty viable strategy against a Suicide Scout, because Suicide Scout, whenever you're grouped up as 5 and just pushing, really doesn't offer much. I mean, maybe like a Bubbles or something could at least help counter push. But yeah, just perhaps a bit of a flaw in the draft there. I think this strategy I talked about earlier is usually executed with the 2 support heroes roaming mid, 4 slicks. Usually he plays, some kind of initiator, like they run Gauntlet, Monkey King, with both with fantastic initiation range, and they just didn't have the support heroes for this at all. Nymph or Torturer are inherently extremely weak roaming heroes. So, just fantastic draft, I think, by Swindle Melons. Really is what won this game for SG.
Yeah, the draft, obviously a big part of it, and no doubt you got to give the credit there where it's due. But, on top of that, though, you do look back, especially that middle push. It seemed like Stay Green, they were a little delayed as following up that bottom push that happened with the 2 tower kills. They then went back to just farming up Balfagor, wanting to get in the Helm of the Black Legion, a couple more early items, and then eventually that portal key on Pebbles. But during that time, and then eventually when they started pushing mid, as we referred to as it was happening, you especially that the Hellborn team, in that case tmsR, instead of actually just farming resources elsewhere,